Hare Krishna. Welcome
Hare
to our
Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam study. There you go. So we're studying the 9th chapter of the second canto. I really like this, what we read yesterday. So changes the whole perspective. Okay. Again, indicating Prakriti. No, not this. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. Again, indicating Prakriti with a casual wave of his hand, the Lord added, Prakriti is but a reflection of Lakshmi. Brahma looked back and forth between the smiling goddess Lakshmi standing close by the Lord with an effulgent white fan in her delicate hand, and Devi Mai, who stood with her head cast down behind Narayan. They looked like mirror images of each other. But what was the mirror? Narayana smiled. The mirror is the desire of the restless souls to enjoy independently from me. Brahma asked, what happens when the living being has such desires? The Lord replied, initially, Prakriti covers them, making them forget my supreme position. Once they forget me, she's able to throw them into the dark material cosmos under the false impression that they are independent controllers and enjoyers. Brahma asked, how does Goddess Lakshmi act? Narayana smiled. When the conditioned souls become materially exhausted and aspire to know the truth, my beloved consort arranges for transcendental knowledge of me. Wow. To reach them via a self-realized pure devotee. When the conditioned soul becomes materially exhausted, this is another Srimad Bhagavatam verse which speaks about those who are materially exhausted can approach Krishna. Right? This is Kunti Devi's prayers.
Yeah, Akinchana.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's like, again, in the 12 steps, the first step is the powerlessness. A person can actually recover from addiction, not by determination, self-control, self-will, none of that. Person has any hope of recovery only and if only he goes in front of God and declares that I am powerless. So here is that point of materially exhausted is the equivalent to powerlessness. So the mirror is the desire of the restless souls to enjoy independently. So that's kind of the addiction, to try to find some substitute in this world which can fill our holes of actually missing Krishna. And second point is sincerity comes here. By her grace, anyone who sincerely tries to assimilate this knowledge will understand my supreme position. They will also understand that I alone can help them, even though I'm beyond their vision. Just as a great fire can diffuse heat and light from a distant place. Wow, this is also a powerful point. Actually, all these things come under the steps that I'm thinking. Admitting our powerlessness, first step. Second, to believe that there is a power greater than me who can restore me to sanity. And then the third is like handing it over to Krishna and saying, you please take care of this. How do these fortunate souls progress? Narayana replied, as they develop their transcendental knowledge, they realize they belong to my spiritual energy, just like my associates here. The Lord waved his bejeweled hand elegantly towards his many associates who stood listening to the conversation. All beings are part of me, and thus they derive pleasure by satisfying me. In spiritual consciousness, they know this, but in ignorance, they forget. So this is the Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We belong to Krishna, we are parts and parcels of Krishna. Since the living beings are your parts, are they as good as you? Asked Brahma. Although there's very little difference between us, replied the Lord, they are not completely equal to me. Oh my God, the Lord is so sweet to say that. In the material world, if you ask some president or some guy, head of something, is this guy also equal to you? He's never going to say, there's little difference. They say, come on, the sky and earth I am the boss and this guy is just a worker or something. But the Lord is like, they're not completely equal to me. That's so sweet. This is our Lord, who does not have any inferiority complex nor superiority complex. So he doesn't have any insecurities. So he deals with things very elegantly. Isn't that sweet? It's like God and the Jiva. And the Lord is saying, although there's very little difference between us, they're not completely equal to me. Okay. The Lord
Like
gave
how,
the example. Yeah, sorry?
like how Prabhupada always says, like, what do you say? Qualitatively be the same, but in quantitative, it's of course the Lord, right?
Right. I mean, if only we can have that attitude with everybody we are dealing with and see them all as equal, because, in the tattva aspect, we are all just jiva tattva. There is no superior, inferior. It's just Krishna only manifests his abilities and beauty and in different degrees, but it's not that we have any superiority. But this inferiority and superior, both actually, not only we shouldn't feel superior, we should also not feel inferior. Both superiority and inferiority are illusions and not the truth.
In fact, this is just very nice. The Prahlad Maharaj's teaching also, and the prayers, how he's telling, like, we should not see friends and enemies. That is one of the first one. He starts off with friends and enemies we're seeing because we're not able to see that we are part and parcel of Krishna. We're servants of Krishna, right? So, like, inferiority, superiority, are like friends, enemies. All these dualities are because of that vision.
So true. But it's quite difficult to kind of come to that stage, right? Usually, I mean, I think that's the idea, what you said. Qualitatively, we're supposed to see everyone equally. But in details, of course, we're supposed to distinguish, discriminate, and associate according to our consciousness and what's favorable and what's not favorable for us. And yeah, some devotees and people are more connected to the Lord and they're manifesting certain skills more than us, or there is that, of course. I mean, I'm just thinking, how do we deal with this inferiority complex? For many people, this is a problem, to feel less than others. And the solution to that is to think less of ourselves. What was that? What is that expression? Humility is not to think less about yourself, but to think.
It's not thinking about oneself as less, but to think less of oneself.
Yeah.
Less about oneself. So not basically thinking, not thinking too much about yourself, that you are low, but you're not thinking about yourself, but you're just thinking about serving Lord. Humility, unless that what I've understood is, humility doesn't mean that we are low. That's like low self-esteem. True humility means I'm very small compared to the Supreme Lord. So any problem that I have, I just take it to the Lord. And when I connect to him, that's real humility. So I am, nothing in front of the Lord. He gives me the power to do everything. So that is humility. Whenever we connect it with Krishna, then only humility will come. If you're just thinking I'm low, that's just low self-esteem, like that. That's what I mean.
Yes. Thank you. Exactly. I'm low, then we're obsessed about ourselves. Actually, we're not putting Krishna there at all. It's not about Krishna at all. It's more about, see, I'm not able to be God. I'm not able to be God. That's what is the focus.
It's basically, I cannot be the enjoyer. It all comes down to that list, I want to enjoy, I cannot enjoy because of da-da-da-da-da. So, it's all about self-obsession means I want to enjoy. I want to be the controller. And basically it's all about, correct. Proprietor, controller, and enjoyer. More, the whole thing springs from last, like how Krishna says, right? That means I want to enjoy. Everything springs from that. All these other, what is anarthas, or the 6 defects, all just spring from that. That's the main key.
What was the 3 things you said? Controller, enjoyer, and proprietor, right?
Yes, proprietor.
Yeah. Gosh, I relate to that. Would you like to continue from here?
Yes, Mataji. When Narayana was satisfied that Brahma had understood, he addressed the third question. You asked how I relate differently with my external and internal energies. Brahma, listen carefully to my explanation. Just as the universal elements enter the cosmos and at the same time stay without, similarly I exist within everything created whilst remaining without. Brahma's face clouded with confusion. Enter and not enter at the same time? What does that mean? Even as Brahma wrestled with the idea, Narayana turned to a group of his associates who stood nearby and said, Please introduce yourselves to Brahma. The 16 handsome youths with complexions like Narayana, dressed and decorated similarly to the Lord, briefly conferred. 5 of them stepped closer and introduced themselves as the Lord's personified energies responsible for manifesting earth, water, fire, air, and ether. They then stepped back and 5 others moved towards introducing themselves as the personified energies responsible for manifesting the knowledge acquiring senses. That's eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin.
You know, this sounds like a crash course on Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, and Bhakti Sarvabhauma all at once for Brahma.
So true. When they withdrew, 5 others approached and introduced themselves as the personified energies responsible for manifesting the working senses, hands, legs, stomach, rectum, and genital. Finally, the 16th stepped forward alone and introduced himself as a personified expansion responsible for the mind. The Lord smiled at them. Then he called out, Let my Tan Mantra energies introduce themselves. Tan Matra in energies introduced themselves. 5 equally handsome associates came forward and respectfully introduced themselves as sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Brahma was astonished to see that all the elements of material creation existed in their original spiritual forms in Vaikuntha. Wow. How though did they both enter and not enter the material world? Narayana said, Here is a spiritual world where energies are fully conscious as they desire to enjoy the happiness of serving me. When, on my order, they descend to the material universe, they remain unconscious as they have no attachment to enjoying there. Similarly, I do not enjoy the material energy. Therefore, I enter the cosmos as...
Okay, let's pause here. You know,
Yes.
when reading about 16th step forward alone and introduce himself as the personified expansion responsible for the mind, I was like, whoa. Like, okay, the important one, if we could meet that person and say, my dear deity of the mind, please help me to figure out how to control my mind and channel it towards Krishna. And it's so amazing, this meditation. Even Brahma was astonished to see that the elements of material creation existed in their original spiritual forms. Just like Tulsi Marani, right? We are worshipping her as a plant here, but then she has her spiritual form in the spiritual world. She's a beautiful gopi. It's like it's a good meditation, no? It's not, that's personalism. Impersonalism, they don't even believe. They don't even believe that there are deities ruling. Gosh. And
the deity of the mind is Aniruddha in Lord Shiva's prayers, right?
Yeah.
In 5th canto. Yeah, I think 5th.
Aniruddha, and also Mahadev himself is called the Manobhimani Devata.
Wow.
He actually, it's very clearly mentioned that he's the deity who controller of the mind, Manobhimani. So this 16th who stepped forward must be the expansion of Mahadev.
Oh, okay.
Maharudra Dev, my grandmother often says, Manobhimani Devata. She'll be asking me quiz questions, no? This will be one of the quiz questions. Who is the Manobhimani Devata?
Okay. Nice. I like that one. Even I was thinking how the 16th one came all alone, the mind.
Yeah.
It's also very much what struck me was like how these senses, like sense of touch, all of them are there and they're all serving the Lord. Over here, they're like just inert, they're like unconscious. I was just thinking about that, that verse which talks about what bhakti. Bhakti means we're using all our indriyas and serving the, the owner of the senses, right? Oh, I forgot that verse. Oh, Rishikesha, Rishikena Sevanam, right? Like, so
Mhm.
he, how they're all serving him over there. And what we are supposed to do is just emulate the same thing, right? We should
Mhm.
use our senses in serving Rishikesha, the Supreme Krishna, right? And we are here just serving our own selves. Like we want to enjoy basically without him, forgetting him. Like how it's all like so beautiful, right, Mataji? I'm just loving
Yeah.
this.
So beautiful. And also, I'm thinking, can you remind me, are there also deities specifying the three modes? Is there like a, I mean, I know that it's Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar, but
Yeah, that's all even I know, Mataji. That's all I know.
so far, I don't think we came across, right? There is no deity or modes like that. I just,
They are Brahma Vishnu, they're just the, are they the deities for the modes, or they're like the mode, they control those modes, right? Is that's the way
yeah,
I've understood?
that's why I'm thinking there has not been any persons introduced as the, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing. It's like the jail superintendent and the prisoner, they are different, right? So similarly, even if there is tamas, or like you were saying, they are inert, the sound and touch and taste and smell, it depends on our willingness, right? The willingness to use it according to the modes, and the modes influence us in this world. Anyway, let's read further. Maybe we'll find the answer.
Me? When they withdrew, five others approached and introduced themselves as the personified energies responsible for manifesting the working senses, hands, legs, stomach, rectum, and genital. Finally, the sixth. Oh, we finished that, right? The down
Yeah.
one. Narayana said, here in the spiritual world, my energies are fully conscious as the desire to enjoy the happiness of serving me. When on my order they descend to the material universe, they remain unconscious as they have no attachment to enjoying there. Similarly, I do not enjoy the material energy. Therefore, I enter the cosmos um, as a facsimile of myself, Purusha, whilst I personally remain in Vaikuntha. Brahma's eyes opened wide with wonderment. He felt blessed to receive such confidential knowledge. Narayana continued, as Vishnu, the Purusha avatar, I enter the material energy to regulate and facilitate the rebellious soul's desires, but I have no personal attachment to matter. Thus, I remain hidden from those under her influence. However, I am charmed by the spiritual energy. Therefore, I show myself and perform loving pastimes with my pure devotees who take full shelter of that energy.
Right.
Narayana's exquisite dark features broke into a captivating smile, revealing rows of perfectly formed pearl-like teeth. This leads into our fourth question. How can you perform your duties in such a way as to attain life's highest goal without being deluded? Without being deluded by pride and false ego. Narayana explained that everyone is searching for happiness, but they wrongly equate it with sensual gratification. This is due to misconception of the self. The first step to attaining eternal spiritual happiness is to sincerely inquire about the nature of the self and life's purpose. Then, by the Lord's grace, the inquisitive soul begins to find the answers he seeks. Rama asked, will all conditioned souls learn directly from you, just as I have? My dear Brahma, because you are the first living being in the universe, I have personally instructed you. Now, you should pass these teachings on to others. When your students have properly assimilated this knowledge, they should also in turn teach others. This transference of knowledge from a realized teacher to a sincere student is called a parampara, or hierarchy of teachers. A person who makes proper inquiry from an authorized spiritual master in parampara will, like you, attain life's perfection. Direct association with me. Brahma had a doubt. A spiritual master may be in parampara, but what if he misunderstands and misrepresents the teachings? How does one know if a teacher has properly understood the truth? Nodding to indicate his approval of Brahma's question, Narayana replied, authorized spiritual masters can clear all confusions. They do not speculate, but support their answers on both direct and indirect teachings with scriptural evidence. Brahma considered the Lord's reply direct and indirect teachings. As Brahma contemplated the matter, understanding came to him from within his heart. Direct teachings are those that instruct the living being to awaken his loving relationships with Krishna through bhakti yoga, beginning with hearing and discussing about Krishna, as well as meditating on the teachings and pastimes of the Lord, his incarnations, and his eternal associates. The indirect or secondary teachings relate to how society should be organized to optimally facilitate the practice of sadhana bhakti, or in other words, varnashram dharma. Brahma bowed his head respectfully and said, I understand, my lord. Smiling, the Lord leaned towards Brahma and said, My dear Brahma, always carefully contemplate and follow these instructions, and you will never be disturbed by pride, falsely thinking yourself independent. Narayana then disappeared along with his associates and aboard. Brahma was again sitting on his golden.
Oh God, imagine that moment Krishna disappears, all the so beautiful things happening and so many explanations, and you feel so secure. I can't imagine that. Oh my God, oh, of course, Brahma always has access to Krishna, but I'm just saying, like that moment, now you feel like, no, 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 no. Beautiful, beautiful. I really like this again and again and again. Brahma praying for it, Krishna himself coming and saying this. My dear Brahma, always carefully contemplate and follow these instructions and you will never be disturbed. So you see, pride, false independence, pride is actually disturbance. We usually think of somebody who's prideful. We look at them and we feel that, oh, look at how proud that person is, as if it's some sort of a opulence, but actually it's a disturbance. I like that for a spiritualist, of course, for a spiritualist. Okay, so Brahma was sitting on his golden. Please finish.
Golden lotus surrounded by darkness. Now, however, he felt able to create the material universe just as it had been prior to the last devastation.
That moment of clarity, you feel like, okay, I think now I have feel some sort of clarity and confidence to do my service. Sometimes we are in doubt and Krishna has to give us the strength. And yesterday also I was discussing with my girls here, Russian girls, that this point about penance. We need to, if we need to empower ourselves to do something valuable, something great, we need to do some penance in that attempt. And today morning as I was chanting, I was thinking the greatest penance is Harinam Sankirtan, the Yagya of chanting of the holy names. That gives us everything. So chanting very intently every mantra, asking the Lord to empower us to do the service is very, very powerful. I'm doing a particular service now, like it's like restoring or what do you call when you like redo a temple, like
Restore only.
Restore, yeah, restoration of a temple. Like there is like a place here where Balaram killed Mayasura. This happened during Kurukshetra when Balaram didn't fight and he was traveling in pilgrimage, and he came here and he saw in a village that there was a Mayasura demon. who was disturbing all the villagers and being really bad. So Balaram killed that demon. And this place, there is no such like a temple or like tirtha where it describes that this happened. And so because I run an NGO, and my Guru Maharaj actually said he'll be very grateful if I can do this, like get permission from the government. Somehow they could not get it, the ISKCON. And just a few days ago, I got confirmation. And yesterday I had a meeting with the core team of the panchayat and everything. And I was actually feeling like that moment, Brahma moment for me. I was feeling so alone, like scared in the sense, like lack of clarity. I didn't feel the strength to do it, dealing with all these people. And so I was thinking, how will I go? I'm alone, I'm a woman and there's no devotees with me. How I'll go? But then I realized, my Guru Maharaj's instruction is with me, and Guru Maharaj's empowerment is with me. And then when I went there, they were all so like cooperative, and we were discussing what all we need to do, Tulsi Mandir and the roof and this and that. I still feel a little disempowered in the sense, I don't know how I'm going to work with all these workers and get things done. But this chapter is like, sometimes Krishna gives us exactly the chapters that we need. So this chapter on Brahma's empowerment, Brahma's feeling confident to create, is coming exactly in the right time for me to feel that confidence that I need to do some penance, I need to chant. So this morning, sometime I chant after Bhagavatam, later. But today I said, no, I really need, I couldn't sleep properly thinking, will I be able to do this service? How will I be able to do? And I was thinking, and then this Brahma's whole section of creation comes like, okay, Brahma can give me that blessing. A great devotee, he can give me that blessing. And Krishna is with me. My Guru Maharaj's instruction is with me. So it gives me that confidence. And I like the way this concluded. Like he felt able to create the material universe. And I'm thinking, okay, I hope I'll be able to restore this temple and do this service for my Guru Maharaj. I'm going to get some artists to make like this what is it called? I forget. It's like like a forget the name. Bas relief type of thing with Bengali artists, where you can actually 3D type of effect of the drawing of Balaram killing the demon. I don't know how this Mayasura looked, so probably I'm going to make it look like Pralambasura more or less, maybe more dark and something like that. We'll see. So it's a exciting but scary adventure, and I'm seeking all of your blessings for that.
It's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Mataji. What's coming to my mind is our scriptures. What I've heard is like they are real and they are living and they reciprocate. Because he's Krishna himself, right? Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita too. It's his own words. So they reciprocate according to our desires, our needs. And then so many times, like the words that I really wanted to, understand. I mean, what do you say? At that moment, the clarity comes through suddenly, the words that I'm reading in the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. It's like just amazing. That's been my personal thing. But then this I've heard from senior devotees, like it's alive. The scriptures are alive. And I'm seeing that in your beautiful, how beautifully you're telling your service to your glorious Guru Maharaj you're doing, and how this chapter is also just a reflection of how it's going to happen. I'm sure it'll all go well, Mataji.
Yeah, there is already Krishna's plan, right? Like for Brahma, he just needs to be that, instrument where he's empowered. And what was my biggest realization reading this chapter? It was this: what I need to do, all I need to do, is keep false pride, sense of controllership, ownership, and that to try to enjoy the results, all these things, to keep it away is the only job. There's actually no other need for any other action, effort, because those things are already present. All these devatas are in me through all my senses, through all my mind. Everything already is in right intact. The only thing I need to guard is this sense of doership, and that's it. The rest will get done. So that's literally what I am getting from Brahma's this chapter, that I just have to be an instrument. I mean, in Brahma's case, he was personally meeting all these deities and demigods who rule these senses, etc., etc. So it was necessary for him to know them personally. So, he knows how to, he got all the contacts, so to speak. And then he'll create, right? He'll create all the things. And for me, it's about that conviction that everything is already going to happen because somebody else is going to do it through me. I'm just an instrument. All I need to do is this prayer that Krishna also say, without, what was that word? Let me read it again. He says, my dear Brahma, always carefully contemplate and follow these instructions, and you will never be disturbed by pride, falsely thinking yourself independent. This is, it's both sides. I shouldn't feel proud that, oh, I have this. I should feel humbled that, and also I'm feeling very humbled and powerless too. At the same time, there is also this point that not to think of yourself independent. It has positive and negative, right? If I think, how am I going to do it? Then I'm thinking I'm independent. The downside. I don't need to fear that how am I going to do this? Because I'm not independent. Krishna is going to act through me. My guru is going to act. And at the same time, the other side is when things get done, I can't take credit for it because I'm not independent. So it's kind of like, wow.
Very brilliant, Mataji. If I was independently reading this, I would have just read it and I was like, oh, very nice. And I would have just continued. But the lessons that you're drawing and the way you're like applying to your own life, it's just very, very inspiring.
Yeah, Krishna is giving it. We just have to, like, as Krishna says, be open. Do not be disturbed by pride. They say, pride comes before the fall. It's actually so true. Even just in reading Bhagavatam, if we feel proud, then it can make us feel like, I don't know, it makes me feel, anyway, the humility gives us so many lessons. We're seeing that in our group. When we are humble, like, lessons are like coming to each of us. And as you said, the scriptures are alive. So it's coming to us exactly as we need it. Personal, very personal. I'm so grateful. Okay, so we finished this chapter. Tomorrow is 10th chapter. Wow, this is the chapter that I did my Bhakti Vaibhav dissertation when I did my thesis, or whatever you call it, to get my Bhakti Vaibhav degree. This was the 10th chapter is the 10 subjects of Srimad Bhagavatam. I actually gave my thesis, or whatever you call it, dissertation on that topic. So tomorrow we'll study the 10 subjects of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.